Mm, 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 mm. So I'm going to just slide that in right to the top. Slide it in, I ain't never going to stop. So you don't have to loosen the whole thing off until it's straight. You can just loosen it off until the string goes slack, and then just pull it out. Literally, it's as easy as it gets. You know, there's no difficulty involved whatsoever. It's just there. Hey, welcome back. Simon Lees here again. I've got a bass video for you today. Look at this beauty. This is the bass that I use when I play in Sonic Boom, which is the band that I play in that does weddings and functions and that sort of thing. It's a lovely bass. It's a Court. I don't know if you can see that. It's a Court made in Indonesia. It has Bartolini pickups, a Mark bass preamp, and it's active. Obviously, it's got a preamp. So today, what's happening is I'm doing a video to do with bass playing, demonstrating what I do on one of the songs that we play with the band. But before I do that, I wanted to change the strings, and I thought, well, it seems mad not to make a little video to show you how I do that. Especially given the content of my my last video, where I passed comment on one of my former bandmates' string changing methods. Okay, so first of all, I'll take the fat string off, and what I'm going to do, I want to kind of show you how easy this is actually. So I've sort of loosened the end of the string off. At the minute, I've got my other camera sort of focused on the bridge, so I'm going to just show you popping that out. It literally just slots into the bridge. You know, you don't even have to thread it through anything. You know, it's so easy. It has got potential issues if you're not being careful, where the string can actually slip out of the slot whilst you're tuning, while you're busy with the tuner end, and before you know it, the string's kind of halfway across the body, and then you have to loosen it all off and then try and slot it back in, assuming you haven't cut it too short. Now, with that in mind, I'm just undoing the end of this string, because I'd actually made quite a decent job of this last time, and I want to try and get the next string the same length. Because with the tuners that you get on a lot of basses, just get these out. By the way, these are the strings that I tend to use. They're made by Ernie Ball. They're regular slinky 5s, because it's a 5-string bass, and they go from 45 to 130. 45 is the G string for an half an hour. That relates to how many thousandths of an inch it is. So I'm going to start with a fat one. So I've just took the old one off, and I'm going to use that as a template to measure the new one. Now, some people don't bother. They just, they just put the whole string around the tuner. But I prefer to do it a little bit more kind of methodically. So what I do, I get the two ball ends together, and I'm gonna just stretch that out. I mean, obviously the old string's got a few kinks in it, so I'm gonna just kind of maybe just add a millimetre or two, just to make sure I've got enough string. So I'm gonna chop that off. So I'm using these this gadget. This is like, it's got a string winder on the one end and a round nosed cutter on the other end. It's brilliant. Made by Planet Waves. Saves you scratching your headstock when you're putting new strings on. So if I just cut, just a few millimeters above where the last one was, get rid of the that's it. Get rid of the bit that I don't need. And now, so if we'll just check if that's still working, still focused on the bass. I'm going to just zoom in a touch. Okay, so that's zoomed in as far as it'll go. So I'm going to just slide that in right to the top.
Slide it in, right
if I can get it in. This is an age-old problem, isn't it? Right, so that's in now. Now with this end, I will reposition the camera. It's going to be daft otherwise, isn't it? So unzoom, reposition the camera. I'm going to zoom in again now, and hopefully you'll see that. Right, so you take the end. There's a hole in the tuner, and you notice all the strings go in a straight line as they go across the nut. That's what you're aiming for. Don't forget that. That's important. Just make sure you can still see that. Yeah, marvellous. Okay, now the thing with strings is they are very springy. They have a habit of popping out when you least expect them to. So to stop that happening, once I've put it in the hole, I'm going to push it downwards into the slot. Now I'm bearing in mind which way this has got to go to have the straightest possible line. So I want the string to be going underneath and not over the top. You know, so that's where I want the string to sort of come out of the tuning post. So I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to kind of force it as hard as I can against the slot, against the bottom of the slot. Once I've done that, that's formed one kink. Now I'm going to pull the string towards me, so again it's going towards the way that I want this string to line up. And the other important thing is, and it's difficult to kind of show this on the camera, but when the string passes over the nut, I want it to go down the tuning post to make sure that when the string passes over the nut, I'm going to kind of do this backwards. No, I'll do it the right way. It goes over the nut and then down, so it forms this. They call it a break angle. So all the time, I'm trying to keep this string end as close to the tuning post as I possibly can. And I'm also using my index finger, just make sure you can still see that, yep, fine, to push the string downwards. And then I'll start turning. Now, you can kind of figure this out for yourself, but just as a little thing to remember, it's always, when you're looking down onto the tuning peg, if you want to tighten the string, it's always anti-clockwise. So that's the way we're going. So tighten, 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 tighten. And I'll say I'm keeping my index finger pressed against the string because that's how I want the string to go downwards on that tuning post. Most important. So I'll keep winding it up. I'm also sort of pulling the string a little bit back towards the body of the guitar using the spare fingers that I've got on this hand. So yeah, I mean, changing strings is always a faff. Now, I'll say at this point, you've got to keep your eye on the bridge end just to make sure that the ball of the string hasn't popped out of that slot and the string's sort of travelling down the guitar body, because you'll be doing this all day and then you'll think, and then you have to loosen it all off and start again. These are the tricks of the trade. Now, I'm not going to do any serious tuning. I could just double check that it's in the ballpark. You notice I'm doing one string at a time. And I'm also, you get a better a response from the tuner. Tuners prefer high notes to low notes, so especially on the low strings on a bass, I tend to play a harmonic on the 12th fret, and that's showing. You can have to trust me on this one. That is showing perfectly in tune. Great, the first one done. Next one. This is exciting, isn't it? Now, normally I cut these strings in half, it's just, it doesn't take a long time to take the strings off anyway, but it's just like a little bit quicker. I'm keeping these intact because there's a good friend of mine whose daughter works in a school that they've got a few basses knocking about that have got strings missing, and he says, if you've got any spare strings, let me know. and you know, he'll send them on. So yeah, makes sense rather than wasting it. Okay, so the next one is labelled 100. Actually, yeah, I meant to do that template thing, didn't I? First time I've done this actually, but I made quite a decent job with the last lot of strings, so I'm going to use this method again. So if you like watching things that have got a bit of repetition, then this video is for you. So kind of straighten the kink out. At least I can kind of hold it taut, and it'll give me an idea what length it is. Okay, so that's the new string. It's kind of easy to tell which one's which because the old one's not as shiny as the new one, because the old one's been on since the summer and it is now the winter. It's actually kind of January, you know. So right, so you can see. Oh, it's been a willful bugger, this one. Right, so yeah, I'm going to cut again. I'm going to cut about 5mm above where the old string comes to, just to allow for kinks and things like this. There we go. Try and keep it roughly in the room. Don't want it shooting off to the next doors. Okay. So same again. The ball end, this bit needs to go into the slot. I say you just kind of just drag it into the slot, really. Once again with this end, just make sure we're still on. Yeah, Anna's doing a great job. Right, so push the end into the hole and say force it down into the slot as far as that will go. And then before that starts to jump back out again, which it will, I'm pulling this end back towards the body of the guitar. And another thing that sometimes forget is to make sure that the string is lying inside the slot. So, okay, so I've forgotten what I was doing already. Use my index finger to push the string down to make sure we get that break angle. You know, this just, the break angle, it just, if you don't have it, you sometimes get buzzing, things like this. You know, so you want the pressure from the string pressing down onto the nut, and then you'll get a nice pure note, which is what you want. You can add distortion later if that's what you're into. And if you're following me, that's probably is what you're into. Fair play. So keep turning it. Turn it. Make sure the thing's sitting in the nut. I've kept my eye on the bridge and that hasn't slipped out. Now, I'm going to put my tuner back on. Try and do it without knocking the camera too much. A bit too far there. Yeah, real musicians do it by ear, don't they? Just check the B string. Strings do stretch, and that's a subject I'm going to talk about shortly. Okay, so we'll get the next one off. I'll just show you the bridge end again. I do love that. That's the one nice thing about when you're taking strings off. So if suppose I was in a situation where I was doing a gig and I broke a string and I didn't have a spare bass, you can see that this operation wouldn't take very long as I used a new string, which is obviously what you're going to do, isn't it? Right, okay. So once again, using the old string as a template, because the last time I put that string on, I did quite a decent job, so why not, you know. Can be a bit of a faff getting this right, but I think once you've done it, I mean, you'll be able to see, in fact, I'll show you on this one how far beyond the tuning post the string goes, you know. Now, because this is the furthest away one, I haven't got as much spare string, you know, so when I cut it off, I'm only cutting off about I don't know, about 3 inches maybe. Okay, cut it off. Right, so yeah, so just make sure Alan's still with us. Now, so this was going more or less to the end of the camera shot. There you go. So this one's going to that tuner there, and you can see, I mean, that is, we use the string packet as a reference. It's about 3/4 of the way of the length, or maybe, I don't know, yeah, just past 3/4 of the way along the string packet. And the string packets tend to be pretty standard sizes. Okay, so I'm going to push it down the hole. Now this one, say it's going to go the same way as the first two that I've done. So so nothing to worry about there. So I'll push it down the hole. Make sure the bridge end doesn't pop out. Force it down to the bottom of the slot. Put my index finger on there. Make sure it's kinked around the edge of the slot, and you know, with this one I might just bring it a bit further round, just to make sure that I'm not going to let it go, because, oh, see, look, this is what can happen. So the end of the string has come out, so I'm going to just pop that back in there. Has it come out again? No, it's still there. Good. So now I've got my index finger on it. I'm going to keep it tight against the post, make sure the string's going downhill, and just tighten it up like a madman. Yeah, I find as the strings get thinner, I prefer to have a little bit more. It's popped out again. So this is the danger, you know. So this end is gone walkabout. Okay, so I popped it back in. It's still there. Oh, this is exciting, isn't it? There's a bit of peril involved. Love it. So come on, wine your body, girl. So yeah, that's it. I want to also make sure that there's no overlap of the strings. That can introduce tuning issues, you know, so that's another reason why you don't want the full length of the string going around the tuning post, because there's a good chance you're going to get the string sort of overlapping itself, and that's going to, you know, it's not going to hold its tuning very well. So that's an important thing to think about. Okay, very good. Oh, went a bit too far. I don't need to play the harmonic now because the string's a little bit higher in pitch. Right, cool. So I'm going to go for the next one now. Let's just make sure I'm still in camera shot. Right, so I'm going to bring this forward a little bit. And let's have a look at the bridge. We haven't had a look at the bridge for a while. Okay. So just set that up and zoom it in a little bit more. So again, I just want you to see what's going on here, if that's possible. Right, so I'm going to loosen the string off. So back to the main camera. That's it. So you don't have to loosen the whole thing off until it's straight. You can just loosen it off until the string goes slack, and then just pull it out. Literally, it's as easy as it gets. You know, there's no difficulty involved whatsoever. It's just, there you go. I thought that was going to take a while. So again, straighten the end out. Use it as a template. Now this one is the first one that's going to go the opposite way when you get to the end. So we will deal with that. This one is labelled 65. 65 thousandths of an inch. Very precise. So now we're looking at the bridge. I'll just put that in the slot. And oh no, I won't. I'll measure it first. Scatterbrain. Okay. Right, so that's where we are. I'm going to cut it with my left hand now, just to see if I can do that. So again, I'll just leave a couple of extra millimeters at the end to allow for the kinks. Cut it off. Jobs are good. So that's it. I'll drop that one on the floor. I normally kind of coil them up as I'm doing it, but nobody's got time for that. So in the slot, try and keep it in there. So I'm going to push it into the hole in the tuner. Actually, you know what, I am going to change the camera angle, because you could do with being able to see this. It will make more sense because we're going a different way this time. Oop, let me just, that's it. Okay, good. And this is why TV presenters don't also film. Okay, so I've pushed the end inside the hole. I'm going to force it down to the bottom of the slot using my thumb. And I'm going to use a combination of left hand, right hand, fingers and all sorts to try and get that string coming the opposite way now. So these ones went clockwise, this one's got to go anti-clockwise, and it's going to be the same with the next one. So again, I'm just keeping that string in such a way that, like, my index finger is pressing down, so when I tighten this, the string should hopefully move downwards down the string post. Now, look what's happened. It's come off again. My God. These strings have got a mind of their own. And it's done it again. You know, but I'm going to wind it up a bit more. Because if I keep putting it back in there, it's just going to keep happening. So, it's like when you tell a dog to stop barking and it keeps barking. You know what I mean? Okay, so I wind it up, wind it up, wind it up. Now hopefully that won't be too much. So there's less, because the string's a little bit tighter now. It's not tight by any means, but it's there's less slack. So there's less chance of that ball end coming out of the slot in the bridge. If you're enjoying this, let me know in the comments. As always, I'd say, you know, please like and subscribe. Just make sure Alan's still doing it. There he is. Yeah, I've got him back in shot now. Marvellous. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a planned video, to be honest. My next video is going to involve me actually playing this, giving you some idea of how I go about how I approach playing songs that I'm not really a big fan of, but the nice thing about playing bass, and I'll mention this again when I do the next video, nobody really cares what the bass player plays, you know. As long as they can recognise a song well enough to be able to sing to it, that's all they care about, which leaves me kind of free to muck about, you know. Burr, burr. Right, so there's one more string to do, and then I'm going to show you the method I use to stretch the strings in, and this might surprise one or two of you. If you watch the last video anyway, it'll yeah, just go on my elsewhere on my channel and just have a look for the video I uploaded last week. There's a lot of talk about putting strings on basses. Maybe too much talk. Right. So same again. I didn't do a bad job with the last one, so I'm going to use that as a template for this one, for the new one. I think it's slipped. No, it hasn't. Okay. So snip it off. Put an extra 5mm or so on there. I mean, it doesn't have to be that precise, but what'll happen is if I do it too slapdash, then the next time, you know, it's going to be like Chinese whispers. It's kind of like you'll end up with a string way too long. Okay, so thread it through the bridge as before. Just double check we're still in camera shot. Yeah, just about. Into the bottom of the hole. Forces the end down to the bottom of the slot. Bring it round anti-clockwise because that's the way this string has got to go. And press it down with my index finger. Now I'll tell you, the end of the string has already come out. Look, they're just annoying, these things, man. But I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to keep winding it up. Nice one, Alan. Keep going. Alan's the name I've given to my spare camera, in case you hadn't realised. No particular reason. Just he doesn't come out very often, and this is, to be honest, this is the first time I've used the two cameras together. These two cameras, anyway, because I'm going to be doing some more nerdy gear stuff where I need two cameras. So this is a good way of testing what it's going to be like. Okay, we get into the point now where it's sensible to keep the ball end in there if I can. It's still not staying where I put it. Now I'm just being careful. I want to make sure. I want to make sure that the string doesn't overlap itself. That's cool. Now that, I was going to say, that looks like it's going to stay where it needs to be, but apparently not. Okay, but I've done enough, I think, to make sure that the string is going down the post. So I don't need to have my finger so close to the post. So wind it up. Now, you can always take it if you find this a bit daunting, or if I'm making it sound more difficult than it is. Hang on, let me just get that in tune. You can always take your guitar or your bass to a professional And if you're in Wolverhampton, the guy that I recommend is a guy called Andy Neville, Andy Neville's Guitar Workshop. Yeah, Andy Neville's Guitar Workshop. He is the guy that looks after all my guitars, any issues that I've got. I'm not very good with the electrics. That's something that Andy helps me with. And things like dressing the frets, you know, making sure the frets are all level with each other. Okay, right. Now the bass is pretty much in tune. So what I'm going to do to stretch the strings in is the same as what I do on the guitar. I'm going to do a few string bends, roughly halfway along the string. Okay. So once I've done that, just do that a couple of times, check the tuning again, and as expected, the strings have gone a little bit slack. But they're not that slack. And part of the reason for that is because I've made sure that when I put them on at the headstock end, that they're tight against the post. There's no slack there. Yeah, even when I play the 12th fret harmonic, sometimes the tuner doesn't give you a clear result. Tuners don't like low notes. And the reason is the tuner's not getting as much information on low notes as it gets on high notes. You know, if an A string on a guitar vibrates at 110 times a second, the A string on a bass is half of that, so it's only getting half the information. So, tuner's gone off. Now you notice I'm using a plectrum, not my fingers. A plectrum gives you a much better sound than fingers do. It's much easier to get a consistent sound if you use a plectrum. You know, you get a better attack. So, and that's why some bass players use a plectrum, you know, especially rock bass players. So cool. That bass is now ready to gig, and so the next time you see this bass will be on the next video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, hit the notification button, so at least you know when I'm going to do another one. It tends to be on a weekly basis at the minute. So far that's working all right, you know, so that's what I'm going to try and stick to doing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.